is Ron Carter. Well, I tell everyone I'm a retired school teacher working weekends. Well, right now I'm teaching a hard life. When I taught school, I had a arranging class, I taught composition, I had two small ensembles, and of course I had all the basic students who came into school. Now I just have 3 students who are the upper level students from Juilliard. Good players, good kids. Well, I started playing music when I was 10, 11 years old as a young cellist in Ferndale, Michigan, which is 1 block from Detroit. And I played cello until my senior semester in high school at Cass Tech. And I switched to string bass, where I got a full scholarship to go to the Eastman School of Music in Rochester, New York. I went there from the fall of '55 through graduation day of June 1959. Got a scholarship to attend the Manhattan School of Music in New York, where I enrolled January of 1960. There was a 3-month period of time there when I was on the road with Chico Hamilton with the wonderful Eric Dolphy. I've been playing bass, trying to live ever since.
Passion for music. Who inspired you?
I think when you have a passion for anything, I think that thing inspires you. Not necessarily a person, not specifically a specific event, but just the ability to do something that's special and feel like you can make a difference in this speciality of whatever it is. I think that's that's it. I think I could say names of people who I admire who are musicians and people who I admire for their adulthood. I could name people who I admire for their ability to play against the grain. I could think people who are great band leaders. I think ultimately, we do our art, in this case, jazz music on bass, because that's just what we do. They find they have a talent for whatever that specific thing is, because that's what they do. As I said before, we, plural, could think of a lot of people who are an inspiration to us, people who are not in our field, who are great at whatever else they do as an inspiration to us to continue what we think are on the right path for us. But I think, to ask me a specific incident, I think I don't have one of those.
Danny Simmons. I'm an artist, I'm a writer, and I'm an arts advocate. I mean, for the last 20 years, my involvement in the change and the density and what's going on in Brooklyn has been at the table of all the organizations that have made this Brooklyn change. And I've always advocated for arts, and I've always advocated for artists, and I've always advocated for the poor and diversity. And I think some of my advocation has worked. In these last 20 years has given me a perspective that very few people have. And I thought I could bring some of that knowledge and background to what Ron Carter is doing in starting a foundation to help children appreciate music and the arts. And so I offered my services. Also, we have a book. He has a book, I got a book. See, I got a book, brand new, The Brown Beatniks Tomes. And he has a book about his life and his experience in the art called Finding the Right Note. And we thought we might get together and do a book tour. You know, I supporting his book, he's supporting mine. Ron Carter plays the bass. Danny Simmons recites some poetry, sell some books, and explain who we are, what we're doing, and why we're doing it. Just like I'm doing here, and advocating for people who need somebody to advocate for them, our children and our artists.
There's not a light bulb incident. I just think that once you realize that you're good at what you do and you can see that there's a lot of area for growth in what you do, I think that the light bulb incident is being able to get up every day and practice. And every night, go play with people who are better than you that can show you another way to do what you do. Those are light bulb moments, plural. I think we all, whether it's playing bass, whether it's a dance instructor, whether it's a film score, whether it's an actor, whether it's a composer. We have these moments all the time because we look for these special moments to help us go to the next stage.
You are an avid spokesperson for education. You believe in education. Why do you feel it's important that students, people that are interested in music, take that seriously?
Well, I think, once kids, and I say kids meaning 8 to 12-year-old kids, once they see that there's occupations that they can thrive in, there are things they can do to make people respect them. There are things they can do that make people happy or sad, emotional things. When they realize that they can have a group of people that they're performing with, or writing with, or dancing with, who are able to reach an audience way over there. These are the kids I think are important for us to grab. These are the people, these are the young people who I think are the salvation of our humanity. These are the kids who are going to be the next Charlie Parker, or the next Arthur Mitchell, or the next Thelonious Monk, or the next Mel Edwards, or the next William T. Williams, painter, or the next Danny Simmons, composer and writer. I think I'm trying to find these people, because we see them, I see them, as the people who are going to save us. And it's my job to find them and try to help them find a path to saving us all. I have a book out now called Finding the Right Notes. And someone asked me, why did I write this book? Well, I told them, first of all, I didn't write it. I had an author who helped me put my thoughts on paper. He's a very good writer, by the way. But I thought a long time ago that people didn't really log African-American man's accomplishments unless he was knocking out 75 home runs or something really, really visibly done. And I thought that I want my grandkids to wake up one day and say, hey, grandfather, what did you do? I want to say, hey, man, come over here. Look at this. I did this, I did this, and I did this. And they would say to me, how come you have this stuff here? I'll say, well, if I didn't save it, son, grandson, no one would have saved it. So I've made it a point throughout my recording career, my concert career, to save reviews, to save the records I made, to save the videos. Because I thought it was important for me to catalog not just my being here. It was important for me to progress, to note my progress in these things. Did I get better at this concert? Is this record better than the last record? Is this performance on video really a good example of how I can play the instrument? How I can make music happen for me and other people? I think these, I call them rings in the tree. These rings in the tree are important for me to see that this is where I was, and I grew X number of spaces for each year. That's important for me. And I want my grandkids to know that this is what grandfather did. Subsequent to that, them sharing my experiences, this book helps people understand how I got to have these experiences. And I think it's a very happy book for me to put these kind of thoughts on paper. And I'd like to share those thoughts with other people. Well, one of my first records where I was a band leader was called Ron Carter. And one of the songs on it was called Blues Farm. And this was my title dedicated to all the guys and ladies in the post office who went there because they couldn't find opportunities. There were not a lot of opportunities to do what they could really do. And I've known some great saxophone players, man, who are in the post office. So that's my blues farm. And I think that if we can get parents to encourage kids to see that there's possibility of their child not necessarily being famous, but being a productive citizen, to be able to have a child who can communicate with others in an open society, to have a child who brings some light to their specific talent, and for the parent to enjoy this happening. If they can do that, then my job is done. I think my next big event is going to work tomorrow night looking for the right notes. But my second biggest event is having the Ron Carter Foundation, that's titled Finding the Right Notes Foundation, be able to reach the kind of kids that Danny Simmons, Renee Neufeld, and I are looking to reach, and their parents, to show them that there are ways to be successful. There are ways to be happy. And if you give us a chance, we'll show both you and your child these avenues. Thank you. Finding the Right Notes Foundation, Finding the Right Notes book through Amazon.
Not usually nervous, especially not around Danny. I usually talk him off the ledge, although he won't admit that. But as much as I think I write, and many of us think we're prolific, to stand before, I'm going to try to do this without crying, Dr. Ron Carter. What does it mean to have produced 2,000 albums? 2,000 albums! Distinguished professor emeritus at City University, at City College. Has taught at Juilliard, holds 2 doctorates, and has played with every major voice from Miles Davis to played the blues, he's played Bach. I know what you've done. Many people in my generation first came to know him when he played on, come on now, you know what the album was? Low End Theory. And I knew you before that. My own roots began on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I went to a camp called the West Side YMCA. The finest young brother, 11 years old, who I had ever seen. Yeah, his name was Miles Carter, and he was my first boyfriend. So baby, I may not have known about jazz before 11, but I'll tell you something. When I stood, and Danny confirmed it was true, when I stood in that apartment the first time and had a pool, I said, what place people got a pool thing in their house? I'm never leaving Miles. And that relationship lasted that 2 weeks we were away at camp. But the music has lived in my heart a lifetime. We are honored to be in the presence of Dr. Ron Carter. We'll be playing to the incredible words of somebody who has become so important to me. Danny, it's a strange thing. I don't really know when we first met. I feel like I've always known you. It's one of those things, and you know, we've done this piece a few times, me introducing you, me calling you up, and I tried to say, what can I say tonight that hasn't been said before? And I was on the trip down memory lane, I thought about my favorite book from when I was a little girl. I don't know if y'all read Charlotte's Web. You remember the last graph in Charlotte's Web. They said, Wilbur never did forget Charlotte, although he loved her children and her grandchildren dearly. None of the new spiders ever quite took their place in his heart. She was in a class by herself. It's not often that someone comes along who is a true friend and a good writer. Charlotte was both. So is Daniel Simmons Jr. Join me in welcoming my friend.
I ain't got nothing to say. I ain't got. Well, who took my glasses? Okay. Glad he printed this out big. Okay. You know what I do? Every time you ready to get ready, brother. Good. This is for Mary Barack. This is in the book, and I'm so grateful. This book is now dedicated to Mary Barack. So we're going to get ready. The name of the poem is for a pistol. A poet is a pistol with an extended clip, busting off rounds into the head of America, and brains ooze on streets where black children once played that are now dog runs for bleeding rich history and heresy. A Mary Hollow Point Baraka will bust a cap in your ass on Nostrand and Fulton and make you get religion and revolution up in here. In a Kango hat, lined with the newspaper of crows that fit the domes of Negroes in old Coogee sweaters that Biggie wore out. But Mary would wear that ass out like an angry uncle after a 12-step meeting. Preach, Baraka, preach in Newark and Harlem in Jamaica, in Watts. Inside the loose shoes that is America. Preach and Mary and teach. To live is to sweat them for what they done did. Barefoot to Dick Willie. I knew there was a sticker coming from some corner. Inside tatted memory, drove 1960 rock and roll slick Willie guitar man, jamming at the blues with a sharp stick. While we frantic in the backseat touch each other less than respectful moonlit Negro convertible car lust. Teen Negro boys and girls who didn't make the team and ran slower and came quicker in tight jeans and pointed-toed shoes that zipped on the side. Feel me on this. This ancient racial memory reaching to you as nobody else could except for that conked-haired blues man who had to be somebody we knew's in-law. High as a kite on reefers and cheap gin. We laughed and petted until you were wet and I was sticky and drove home having did it again on Saturday night to scrub clean and share glances in Sunday school pews with mama and dad getting high at home sneaking a heroin fix again. And the reefer blues man drove by in his yellow caddy and his do-rag, sailing into our town's wind on Sunday morning, his AM radio blasting them niggerish tunes, saying, go, 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 daddy, go, Johnny be good. Title of this one is Doogie. It was the name for a drug that people got really screwed up on in the 60s. Sometimes love can screw you up too, so it's sort of like Doogie. Doogie all run over me and sat down, tingle with race car high heels and voodoo eyes, conjured the sacred whisper again on the cobblestone highway. My rickety bike go bump, bump, bump along nicely into the rear view mirror, you always gaining on me, but you're always back there. Even when I slow or grind guard to a halt, gaining closer in the distance, the hoop was too high or something. You better go get you to jumping and rent some Converse high tops and play ball, damn it. I pedal my wheels to the rims and they're squealing loudly now, and I'm all worn down, wanting desire, and way too tired to deny I want you to catch up. Because I got swollen feet, and I'm out of breath, and maybe I'll be constipated with lust again tomorrow. But damn you again for stepping out with the enemy and denying me for a lesson or a law. And here you come when I'm weary and weak and want you to our pitching like Angel does. I was cool like heroin some years gone by. Remember me from the opium dreams I weave and lick you with? Come home, little Sheba, and be that old Negro woman again, so I can suckle and lay my face down into you.
Brown Beatnik Tones, and it was bomb. Thank you, Danny, for the amazing experience. My Aunt Petrova of the Refinement Group, victory!
So today I took a selfie or Ussie, you know, it's the World Wide Web kind of social media stuff. But anyway, I took a Ussie with Ron Carter, and it was a privilege to take a photo with him because he's history, he's living history, and you know, I get to touch his hands. The fact that he shook Miles Davis' hands and he worked with Miles Davis, you know, what can you say? You have to respect it. You have to honor it. You have to honor the creatives that have come before us. And I hope to become one myself. Thank you. And I appreciate you.
To enjoy myself tonight. I've been listening to Ron Carter for 30 years. Playing from Miles Davis's band through his own records, and I've never seen him before, so tonight was really exciting to hear Dr. Ron Carter in the flesh doing his thing with Danny. I've read some of those poems before, and they were very powerful. Give you lots to think about, so it's a great event. I'm happy to have been here.
Hi, how are you people? Just want to say hi to everybody and congratulations to Danny Simmons for his successful endeavor. It's a great turnout. Thank you Bed Bath & Wine for the wine. I really love everything and I'm having a good time. Cheers.
From the Powerhouse Arena in Dumbo, Brooklyn, New York. And I just finished attending the book signing for Danny Simmons' new book, Brown Beatnik Tones. And Ron Carter was accompanying him, legendary jazz great Dr. Ron Carter, who's featuring his new book as well, Finding the Right Notes. And I'm just a distinct honor and pleasure to have attended. I'm a fan and a family friend of Dr. Ron Carter's, and I just have to say he's a legend in the music industry, and I just feel proud to know him and to be a part of his family. And let's all support the arts, let's honor our legends while they're here in the flesh, and let them know that they are loved and respected while it counts. Thank you.
do is I play a song for you, since some of you have not heard a bass play in this context by itself, and I'll throw the floor open figuratively for some questions, and we'll see how it goes. So here's my first try at this strange bass.